Hello and good morning, students. Good to see you once again in today's lecture. Lecture number 21, semester 2, chapter 17, if conditional clauses. Well, in the last lecture, we covered the textual exercise given to us on page number 144, that is exercise A and exercise B. In today's lecture, we will be looking into the remaining exercises, that is exercise C, given to us on page number 145, followed by the fun corner exercise given to us on page 146, and we will discuss the let's talk section, and finally we will discuss the common errors in the if conditional that we should not be creating. Well, without further ado, let's get into the understanding and perform the exercise given to us on page 145, exercise C. In the last two exercises, we simply filled in the required condition, whether it was the subordinate clause or the main clause. We tried to fit in the pattern structure that we learned for type 1, type 2 and type 3 conditions. In today's exercise C, we are perhaps going to join the sentences. Therefore, we will have to use all the discrete intelligence that we have collected, or all the information or all the knowledge that we have gathered performing exercise A and B. Well, rewrite the following pairs of sentences as if clauses. The first one has been done for you. So in this exercise, we have 10 sentences, of which the first one has been done. Further, the even numbers, sentences in the even number, I will perform for you and leave 4 odd number sentences for you to practice. That is sentence number 3, 5, 7 and 9. So let's read the example sentence given and try to understand what exactly we have to do in this exercise. The first sentence, suppose I press this button, what will happen then? So we have been given two sentences. In a way, we need to analyze the situation that is being explained to us with the help of these two sentences and frame a combined sentence or have a complex sentence over here, perhaps with a subordinate clause and a coordinate clause, the independent clause and the dependent clause. So let us see how this can be created with the example sentence. For this too, you will have to recall the knowledge about type 1, type 2 and type 3 conditions. The remembrance of the pattern is very, very important. Well, have a look at the first one, the answer. What will happen if I press this button? So we had a question given to us in the second part, that is the main clause, having the prior thing, suppose I press this button. So that suppose has now been transformed into a conditional clause using the word if. So if you carefully see, what will happen? So we have the main clause followed by the subordinate clause, if I press this button. So suppose now changes to if, creating the condition over here, if I press this button. So if you carefully see in the question given to you, you have the word press indicating a simple present over there, followed by the main clause having the words will happen. So just merely with these two words, you will be able to decide that it is having the type 1 condition within it. Is it? It's simple present, if plus simple present plus will or will not of the future tense. Therefore, accordingly, the statement has been created in the answer. What will happen if I press this button? So here we have utilized the simple future in the main clause in the answer part and the simple present in the subordinate clause. Well, similarly, we will be writing the sentences 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. 3, 5, 7 and 9 can be practiced by you. So let's get started and do this exercise on the board. Rewrite the following pairs of sentences if clause Second sentence, don't leave your glasses on the bench. Someone might sit on it. Analyze the sentence carefully and try to create or rewrite the sentence as an if clause over here. So we are going to create the conditional clause over here, taking the information given to us. Well, carefully see, don't leave your glass on the bench. Someone might sit on it. So looking at the first sentence, we can say that the if clause can be created with the help of the given words over here. Well, the command given over here or the advice given over here is don't leave. So well, if somebody leaves, then what will happen? So here we can say, or we can clearly ascertain that the conditional clause will be created from the first sentence given to us, that is don't leave your glasses on the bench. So it is important for us to identify which sentence will satisfy the need of the conditional clause. So here the first sentence will satisfy the need of the conditional clause. So let's write it. If you leave your glasses on the bench, isn't it? If you leave your glasses on the bench, comma, someone might sit on it. So the second sentence will be creating the main clause and the first sentence will be creating the if clause or the if conditional, that is the subordinate clause. Let's write it and then analyze it. If you leave your glasses on the bench, well, there are chances that someone might sit on it. So the two sentences that we had, two separate sentences that we had, two individual sentences that we had, we transformed it, changed it into a complex sentence because we have the subordinate clause and the main clause, and we have the joining word, that is the if conditional clause or the linking word over here. So if you leave your glasses on the bench. So have a careful look. We have if plus leave. Have a look at the word leave. What is leave? Leave is in the simple present word. Further, if you analyze the main clause over here, you will find the word might sit. Sit is again a word in the simple present. So you see, we have the simple present plus the simple present along with the word if over here. Therefore, we can say it is type 0 conditional over here, having if plus simple present plus simple present. So this is how we have framed the if conditional clause with the given sentences. Next one, number 4. I wish I had a long ladder. I could fix the television antenna myself. Well, let's try to create this conditional over here. So I wish I had a long ladder, and further the main clause, I could fix the television antenna myself. So we can very well see in this fourth sentence given to us that the first sentence can be used to create the if condition. So expressing the desires if I had a long ladder. That is how we're going to create it. Let's write it, understand and analyze it. If I had a long ladder, so I wish is now transformed to the word if. If I had a long ladder, comma, I will write in the main clause, I could fix the antenna, the television antenna myself. So what have we done over here? Let's analyze it. We have used the type 2 condition over here. That is, we have if plus had a long ladder. So you see we had the word had over here, which is the only verb in the conditional clause. That is the subordinate clause. If plus simple past. Simple past of have is had. So we have if plus simple past plus the required word would, could, might, whatever. So we have could over here plus the other words in the sentence having the thing. So we have the type 2 conditional used over here. If plus simple past plus would or could plus the other words in the sentence. That is, if I had a long ladder, I could fix the television antenna. So that is how we have created the statement over here. Next one, number 6. Imagine you saw a dinosaur walking down the main street. What would you do? So we have an interrogative statement or an interrogative sentence in the main clause and the statement in the subordinate clause. So let's try to join this. Well, have a careful look. Imagine you saw a dinosaur. So we are going to create our conditional clause with this statement given to us. If you saw a dinosaur walking down the main street, comma, what would you do? This is how the sentence is going to be created. Let's write it and then analyze it. What type of conditionals we have used in it. Alternatively, we can write beginning with the question word first. What would you do if you saw a dinosaur walking down the street? So we will be able to create the combination of the two in two ways, either using the subordinate clause first or the main clause first. Well, let's write it. What would you do if you saw a dinosaur the main street? Well, we have created the entire question combining the main clause and the subordinate clause. So what would you do? So analyze it. We are using the words would and followed by the word do over here, the other words in a sentence, but talking about the conditional clause, which is very important to analyze first. If you saw, so what have we used? If plus saw. Saw is the simple past tense form of the word see. Hence, we can say we have used the type 2 conditional over here. If plus simple past plus would or could and the other words in the sentence. It would be a base form of the verb or the complement that is given to us. Therefore, what would you do was the main clause followed by the subordinate clause. If you saw, we have the type 2 conditional used over here. Well, this was sentence number 6, sentence number 8. The story must have been true. Why would the newspaper print it otherwise? So we have the main clause, why would the newspaper print otherwise, and we have the subordinate clause for the sentence given to us, the story must have been true. So we are expressing a doubt over here by saying the story must have been true. Therefore, when we create the combination sentence or the complex sentence over here, we'll have to use a negative word over here, because in the main clause, why would the newspaper print it otherwise? So the word otherwise given to us makes us or gives us the understanding to use a negative word not in the construction of the whole sentence. Let us see how it is going to be constructed. If the story was not true, so we are saying over here the story must be true, and that is why the newspaper has printed it. But when we combine these two, we write it in this way, creating the if conditional. If the story wasn't true or was not true, then we are asking a question, why would the newspaper print it? If the story was not true, it means it was true, so it must be true. If the story was not true, comma, why would the newspaper print it? Have careful analysis of the thing into you. If the story was not true, you are using a negative word and perhaps you are using a word or the verb of the simple past, that is the member of the be family. If plus simple past plus would plus the other words in the sentence given to us as the complement of the sentence. So we are using the type 2 conditional over here as well in the sentence number 8, because we can clearly see when we have created if plus was, but we have a negative word, then we have the word would and the other words in a sentence. So type 2 conditional has been used over here in order to create the sentence or join the sentence. Number 10. You should have read the instructions carefully. Then you wouldn't have answered the wrong question. Well, so what is being said? You should have read the instruction carefully. Have a careful analysis of the sentence. This will help us to create our conditional clause. Well, if the person would have read the instructions, then he would have not made the mistake of writing the wrong answer or answering the wrong question. Therefore, we will write the combined statement as if you had read, you should is the command, changing to conditional over here. If you we have the word had read. If plus had read gives me the past perfect tense, isn't it? So if plus past perfect tense plus I have the word would with the word not, have, and the past participle form of the verb answer, that is answer. So as you write, you will come to know that it is the type 3 condition that we are writing. If you had read the instructions carefully, comma, you wouldn't have answered, that is would not have answered or wouldn't have. As you write these words, try to put it in your understanding. Wouldn't, that is would plus not, plus have, plus the word answer, which is the past participle form of the verb answer. So we are using the type 3 conditional. You wouldn't have answered the wrong question. Well, so these were the sentences that I did for you. Alternatively, you have the sentences in the odd numberings 3, 5, 7 and 9 to practice for yourself. Well, moving ahead to the next question that we need to do is fun corner. Well, you've been given some subordinate clauses, the dependent clauses, for which we have to input the main clauses. So let's discuss this together, and I will write this on the board. From my point of view, at my end, alternatively you have your choice to write sentences of your own. Well, I will just be assisting you to write the correct sentences. Somewhere it would be in the positive of affirmative form, somewhere we have the negative form, somebody where we have the positive and the negative both. Therefore, let's do this together. Fun corner exercise. Well, have a careful look. Think of some interesting main clauses. You got to think about it. We do not have any clauses given to us. We have the subordinate clause given to us, and we will be inserting suitable ones that we can think. So it's a kind of open-ended question for us. And the first one, if you had taken my advice, think one for yourself, and I will assist you with one or two ideas or one or two sentences. If you had taken my advice, comma, do not forget to apply the comma, and in the space given to you, you can write a main clause that satisfies the subordinate clause, the dependent clause. Well, we can have two answers for this, one with an affirmative sentence, one with a negative sentence. So let me provide both those to you. If you would have taken my advice, you wouldn't have been in such trouble. Well, that's the negative one, and the positive one you can write, if you had taken my advice, you would have got the job. So these are the two that comes to my mind at my end over here. Alternatively, you have the liberty to write main clauses of your choice. So let me put up this on the board for you for your resistance. If you had taken my advice, you wouldn't have been in such trouble. So carefully analyze the sentence. What kind of conditional we use over here? Carefully see if plus had taken. So had taken brings to your mind the type 3 conditional. So we have if plus the past perfect tense followed by in the main clause would or would not, whatever the statement is, affirmative, negative, would plus have plus the past participle form of the verb. Wouldn't have been in such trouble. So we have the word BW and be as the past participle form of be. So you wouldn't have been in such trouble. So it's the type 3 condition that we have applied over here. Where alternatively we can write the positive statement over here as you would have got the job. So provided, or I tried to provide you the negative as well as the affirmative sentence for the first one. Second one, if the volcano starts erupting, well, analyze the subordinate clause. If the volcano starts erupting, so you can very well see over here we have the word starts given to us. It is to be found in the simple present, isn't it? We have if plus simple present. So if we have if plus simple present, what would be the requirement of the main clause? Think about it and you will easily be able to find out that we require type 1 clause over here. If plus simple present plus we require the word will or will not, that is the future tense, in order to complete the main clause. So let me give you an answer for this. You can have a choice answer of your choice. If the volcano starts erupting, it will cause great damage to life and property. So we have used the pattern accordingly. If plus simple present plus will or will not, whatever is required in sentence, followed by the other words in a sentence. So it will cause damage to the life and property. This was type 1 that we have used in the second sentence to complete it. Third one, if you had any sense. Well, we came across as a sentence in the previous exercises, exercise A as well as exercise B. So this should not be difficult for us to complete. It is type 3 sentence. Immediately this should come to your mind. So if you had any sense, and we are going to write a suitable one by thinking for ourselves, I'll provide you two of it, one with the positive and one with the negative. Type 3. If you had any sense, with the positive statement, so you're doing some positive work, you would have spent your money wisely. You would have, so have a careful look. I am satisfying the condition over here. If plus had gives me the past perfect tense over here, followed by the word would plus have plus the past participle form of the verb that I am going to use. So we have the choice to use the verb of ourselves, of our liking. So I am using the word spent. You would have spent your money wisely. So I have added a suitable main clause over here in the affirmative type. Alternatively, I will be writing a negative one. You wouldn't have wasted. I'm using wouldn't have wasted your money. So I utilized or I added affirmative main clause as well as a negative main clause. Next one, number 4. If the storm becomes worse. So condition, if the storm becomes worse. Have a careful look. What tense are you getting over here? Accordingly, you will write the manage the main clause. If plus become over here. If the storm becomes worse. So becomes will give us the idea about the simple present over here given to us over here. If the storm becomes worse, and if I have simple present over here, if plus simple present, what will be required over here? Will or will not with the other words of the sentence, that is the complement. So I'll provide you one over here. You can think about similar ones at your end. We will cancel our picnic plan. We will cancel our picnic plan. So you can see over here, I've used the word will cancel, that is providing or the required thing over here, future tense. For the type 1 condition over here, if plus simple present plus will or will not provides me the type 1 condition. Well, next one, number 5. If she hadn't lost her temper, we have a negative sentence or a negative word used in the conditional clause. If she had not, if she hadn't lost, again we have the word lost over here, lose, lost, lost. The past participle form. So if I have had and lost, hadn't lost, it indicates clearly the past perfect tense. So if it is a past perfect tense, along with the word if, I can immediately say or recall that it is type 3 condition. And for the type 3 condition, I require would plus have plus the past participle form of the verb over here. So let's write it down over here. If she hadn't lost her temper, she would have banged the deal. She was not able to complete the deal. The deal was left incomplete. So she would have banged. She would have got the deal. That means to achieve. She would have achieved the deal if she hadn't lost her temper. So I have if plus the word of the past perfect tense followed by the main clause would plus have plus the past participle form of the verb. You can think of main clause of your choice. Sixth one, if we had a car. If we had a car, comma, think about it. If we had a car. So if plus I have the main verb over here had. I do not have any other verb over here. So it is not past perfect tense, it is simply past tense over here. If plus past tense. If I have the if plus past tense, what condition am I going to use over here? I will be using the type 2 condition over here. That is if plus past tense plus would plus the other words in a sentence. So I will provide you one over here. You can think about a similar thing of your choice. We would not require to hire it. So we are expressing the desire that if we had a car, we will not hire one, isn't it? If person has, we may not hire it. So if we had a car, we would not require, or we might not require, instead of would you can write might, we would not require to hire it. Well, next one, number 7. Seventh one, if there is a call for me, dash, well, let's provide the main clause for this subordinate clause. Well, have a careful look at the sentence. If there is a call for me, what do you find over here in the subordinate clause, in the conditional clause? If followed by the word is, that is the simple present over here. So we have if plus simple present. So think about the type of condition. Well, clearly you will be able to recall that it is type 1 condition over here, because if plus simple present plus we have the word will or will not to be written over here in the simple future. So we'll have to provide a main clause having the words will or will not. So let's write one over here. If there is a call for me, and this time we'll write a interrogative question over here using will you please inform me? Well, so I have inserted the main clause over here. Will you please inform me? So I have met the requirement of the type 1 condition if plus simple present plus will or will not. Number 8. If your parents knew the truth. Well, let's write the main clause. If your parents knew the truth, and I will be writing the main clause over here. So analyze it first. If your parents knew, we have the simple past along with the word if in the subordinate clause. If plus simple past. So what is the other requirement? We need the word would and the other words for the complement of the sentence which we are going to create for ourselves. They would be happy. Would be happy. So have a careful look. We satisfy the condition over here. If plus simple past, the word knew and the word would and the other words in the sentence. So this is satisfying the condition of type 2. That is simple past, if plus simple past plus would. So in this way we completed the fun corner exercise. Next we have to discuss and acknowledge ourselves with the reading of the Let's Talk section, followed by the common errors that we are not supposed to make while using conditionals. Well, Jeet's elder brother Rahul is on holiday from college. He wants to find out how Jeet is doing in school. So they are having a conversation, and the conversation contains the conditionals that they have used. So let's read that and try to acknowledge. Hello Jeet, how is your exam preparation coming along? Well, Jeet is answering. Hello Rahul, I don't know. I am worried about the science paper. Well, can you see over here carefully what was used over here? How is your exam preparation coming along? And the answer given over here, I don't know, I am worried. So he is using I am worried about the science paper. Well, the next thing or the next conversation, the dialogues are, why worry if you study hard? So here we have the first conditional that they have used in their speech. Rahul has used in his speech. Why worry? Saying if you study hard. So you can see if you study hard, we have the word study as the simple present over here given to us. If it's a simple present, we will require will or will not, and that is what he will be saying. Let us read it. You will get good results. So the entire type 1 conditional has been used over here. Have a careful look. If you study hard, you will get good marks. So we have simple present if plus simple present plus will over here. In reply, Jeet says yes, but if, so again he is also using a conditional over here, if I don't remember the answers, if I do not remember the answers in the exam hall, what will I do? So he is asking a question. He too is using a type 1 condition over here. Have a careful look once again. If I don't remember, do not. It's a negative one, but having the word do, which is the simple present. If I do not remember the answers in the examination hall, what will I do? So he is further using the word will in the main clause. What will I do? That is what happened to me last time. So when he experienced that he forgot the answers during the exam, let us see if they have used any more conditionals in their conversation. On page 147, yes, they have used it. Rahul again uses the condition, if you had prepared. So you see, if you had prepared, we have if plus the past perfect tense that he has used, isn't it? Immediately it should recall to your mind. If you had prepared from the beginning of the year, you would have remembered your answers last time. So you see, if you had prepared, the conditional use over here, if plus had prepared, the past perfect tense from the beginning of the year, followed by the main clause, you would have remembered. So we have in the main clause would plus have plus the past participle form of the word remember. So I hope you're getting along with this. Your answers last time. Don't study in the last minute. Well, that was the advice given by him. Don't study in the last minute. In reply to that, Jeet again uses a conditional over here in his speech. If I were you, I wouldn't have to worry about studying at all. You are so intelligent. So here he is trying to say, using the conditional, that if I were you. We had the explanation about a similar type of sentence in type 2 conditional when we read from the Let's Learn section. If I were you, I would study now. That was the sentence we read. So here it is, if I were you, I wouldn't have to worry about studying. This is the type 2 conditional, where we have were as the simple past followed by the word would and the other words in a sentence. Well, because he's trying to say that if I were you, which he is not actually, isn't it? An unlikely thing, an improbable thing. Well, in reply, once again, Rahul uses a conditional. If I had thought that way, he's saying if I had thought. So you can see what is he using over here? The third conditional over here. If I had thought is the past perfect tense. That way, I would never have scored good marks. So he's saying in the main clause, I would plus never, the negative word, have plus scored, that is the past participle form of the word score. That is the third type of conditional. If I had thought that way, so if plus past perfect tense, had thought, plus in the main clause we have would plus have plus the past participle form of the word score. If I appear intelligent, so if I am right now looking intelligent, if I appear intelligent, so once again he is using in the second sentence that he is saying also the if conditional, but this time he is using the simple present over here. Have a careful look. If I appear intelligent, it is because I spend a lot of time studying. So he has used the type 1 conditional over here. If I appear intelligent, it is because I spend a lot of time studying over here. Well, in reply, Jeet just says, will you help me study? And Rahul says in a very happy manner, happy mood, gladly says, let's start right away. So he is ready to teach his friend from that very moment. So I hope you understood the conditionals that were used in the conversation between Rahul and Jeet. Well, moving ahead to the next and the final page. Page number 148, we have the common errors in the if conditional clauses. We will read it as it is, just try to differentiate between the two columns given to us. Here are some examples of the incorrect uses of tenses in the if clause and the corrected sentences. Well, if the police will catch him, they will arrest him. So have a look at the correct sentence and then we will analyze it. If the police catch him, they will arrest him. So we had a difference in these two sentences. If the police will catch him. So here the future was used, which was not required. If the police catch him, they will arrest him. So we were supposed to use if the police catch him, they will arrest him. In the conditional clause, what has been written over here? The will was used over there, which is incorrect. The will was supposed to be used in the main clause and not in the if conditional clause. Therefore, if the police catch him, that is simple present in the conditional clause followed by the main clause, they will arrest him. So the main clause was supposed to have the will or will not as learned in the type 1. If plus simple present plus will or will not. Here the will was incorrectly used in the conditional clause. That is why the corrected sentence has been given to you. Analyzing the second one, your car will be stolen if you left it unlocked. Well, how weird and incorrect it is. Your car will be stolen if you leave it unlocked and not left it unlocked. Because we have your car will be stolen. We have the simple future used. Therefore, we require the simple present in the main clause, satisfying the type 1 condition over here. Your car will be stolen if you leave it unlocked. So, leave is the simple present instead of left. Third one, unless you do not work hard, you will not be successful. Well, let's read the corrected one. Unless you work hard. It's written unless you do not work hard. Well, here we were not supposed to use the negative word and that has been incorrectly used over there. If you work hard, you will not be successful. Unless you work hard. So, we already have the word unless indicating the negative word. Therefore, the second set of negative word was not required over there. We had a double negative over here. Unless you do not work hard. It means you are asking someone not to work hard in order to be successful. The meaning completely changes. So, unless you work hard, till the time you don't work hard, you will not be successful. Well, fourth one, if I had some money, I would have invested it in shares. Well, the corrected one, if I had some money, I would invest it in share and not invested over here. Because I am saying if I had some money. So I am using the simple past over here. If plus simple past, then I require would plus the other words, that is the simple present over here. I would invest it in shares and not invested in shares. That is the mistake that has happened over here when we are using the type 2 condition over here. If plus simple past plus would plus the base form of the verb. Fifth one, if everyone contributes 20 rupees, we would have enough to buy a football. The corrected one, if everyone contributed, that action was done. If everyone contributed 20 rupees, we should have enough to buy a football. So, here the requirement was simple past and not simple present. By using if everyone contributes would become simple present, where the requirement was simple past. If plus simple past is contributed, we should, would, could, whatever is required in the sentence, we should have. So, should plus have plus the past participle form of the verb. Should have or the other words in the sentence. Next one, number 6. If you arrived 10 minutes early, you could have got a seat. Corrected one, if you had arrived 10 minutes early. The had was missing over there. Here it was if you arrived, simple past was used, and along with that in the main clause, you could have got. So, well, in simple past we don't use could have got. We will have to change the conditional clause by making it in the corrected form by using the word had arrived. We require the past perfect tense over here because the type 3 condition was supposed to be used over here and the word missing was had. If plus past perfect tense, that is had arrived, plus in the main clause would, could, whatever required, so here it is could, plus have, plus the past participle form of the verb get, that is got. Get, got. So if you had arrived 10 minutes earlier, you could have got the seat. The had was the missing part, the mistaken part over here. So we added it now. Finally, the last one. If it weren't for your quick reflexes, I would be dead. Well, the corrected one. If it weren't for your quick reflexes, I would have been dead. Well, with this, we come to the end of chapter number 17 in totality. I hope you understood about the conditionals that I tried to teach you. Well, see you soon in the upcoming lecture. Till then, take care. Have a nice day. Goodbye.